Hello YouTube, and welcome to this edition of Race Car Fabrication and Restoration. I'm Ronnie Humphrey, and as always, I appreciate you guys joining us today. On today's episode, we finally get to go out and see Mr. Bill Rhine, the king of stock car restoration, and we were able to get the nose for the Buick. So stay tuned, we'll tell you all about it. Okay, before we look at the first little short clip, I want to give you a couple of house cleaning items here. I've known Bill for about 4 or 5 years now, and I do respect his privacy very, very much. So there's very limited film from inside his shop. He does a lot of private collector work, and there was a couple of projects in there that he was working on now. He explained to me were just fantastic projects that you will see when it's time for them to be released to the public. But for now, I cannot show you those. But we did get a couple of clips inside the shop of a real neat hobby he has. Bill is a very patriotic guy. He loves our country, and we spent a lot of time talking about politics more than anything else when it comes down as compared to cars. But anyway, Bill's a really nice guy, and we spent just a whole evening with him. And so the first little clip here is just us when we arrived there at his shop. But remember, we're going to have limited video from inside, and there's a reason for that. And I just wanted you to know that we're keeping the privacy intact for some of these projects that he's working on right now. So here we go. Well, we made it to the famous Bill Rhine Enterprise shops here in Denver, North Carolina. Go in here and see if we can get this nose for our Buick. Okay, as I was mentioning earlier, Bill loves our military. He does a lot to support our military, and I greatly appreciate that. I commend him for all the work he does with all the branches of our armed forces. And to show you just his dedication and love for the military, he is building a 1/72nd scale aircraft carrier. Now, the video does not do justice, but here he's talking to my brother Douglas Humphrey, who made the trip out with me out to Charlotte, but he explained a little bit about it. But just look at the details. This is all hand fabricated out of steel. Check this out.
The class escort carrier. This is one they call the Jeep carriers. Yeah. It's one of the little ones. So this one, the first one I built in all raw metal. I just clear coated and painted the deck markings on it. This one I'm actually going to paint the World War II Pacific camo. I read a really neat book called The Last Stand of the Tin Can Sailors about the Battle of AT Gulf. Yeah. Excellent book. Highly recommend it to anybody. And so I'm going to do the St. Lo. She was sunk at the Battle of AT Gulf, and this is what she's going to be. I'll paint her all up when we get done and outfit her with some aircraft.
So this is the scale.
1/72nd scale.
Yeah. Love it. Again, that's just a real quick glimpse at the project that he's doing of this aircraft carrier. The guardrails, the handrails, everything is hand formed. It was just amazing. It's going to be super heavy when he's finished with it. It's actually going to have an elevator to bring the planes back up to the surface. Really, really cool. Great guy, loves our military. And I was able to get a little bit of footage down at one end of the shop of some cars that he had in there at one end where he was doing some work on them. They were back on the surface plates, but take a real quick glimpse at that.
Some of that stuff, sometimes I'll sell some of it, but I'm just really cautious.
A couple of projects that Bill and I are working on now.
So
now these cars go in museums or what?
Some collectors have a lot of collectors racing.
Really?
Yeah, we go to Kershaw about 4 times a year and just let our clients have a blast.
Wow.
Now, in addition to the aircraft carrier that he's building for himself, for his own private collection, he also makes replica aircraft carrier flight decks, and presents them to some of our military families. This was phenomenal to hear about this private program he's got, and how he works with all of our branches. Take a look at these aircraft carrier decks that he makes replicas of, down to the detail of how he will even personalize the certain squadron plane identifications, identifying markings, whatever you want to call it. But check these out.
Oh, the aircraft?
Yeah.
I have a deal with the guy who imports them from China, and he lists me as a wholesaler, so we get a really good price on him. He takes really good care of us. And you know, the cool thing is, if mom or dad or grandma flew for a certain squadron, we'll paint the tail markings on the plane or on the helicopters. And
of course, the main reason we made the trip out to Denver to visit with Bill was to get our hands on this original OEM NASCAR Winston Cup Buick Regal nose for a 1988 Buick Regal. And I can't wait to get this on our car. But it just looks so much better than the nose that NASCAR made the team swap to in 1989 and 1990. This is the nose that Bobby Allison had on his famous Miller Genuine Draft car. I think he won Daytona with that car. But anyway, just a much better looking nose. And I really greatly appreciate Bill selling me what he thought was at first his only one he had. But he told me when he dug this one out of his famous barn, that he actually had discovered that he had another one. So now me and Bill Rhine have the only two 1988 Buick Regal noses there are in existence. Pretty cool. Now we'll add that he does have the mold where you can make a fiberglass replica in the future in case that ever gets done. But I guess, you know, that would be for another collector looking for one. But I'm so fortunate and so happy to have this. Well, another important part of my trip to Denver, North Carolina, was to swing by a friend of mine and pick up some of these tires for my 88 car. These are tires that would actually run at Darlington last weekend for the throwback weekend. That is why they are white. And I'm very lucky to have some friends there in NASCAR who were able to get these to me. I got two sets and they are really good shape. And we'll throw them on the 88 car next time we take it out. But the main reason, obviously, was to get this. And there she is. Let me move this back. I kind of give you an idea where you can compare the two. Yeah, if I can do this one-handed here. There you go. Kind of give you an idea. There you go. Now, a little added bonus for you here. This is the original Bill Elliott Racing Shops in Dawsonville, Georgia. I had some business to do there in Dawsonville on the way out to Mooresville. And I decided to go by and check out the facility where Elliott family ran and won so many races between Bill and Dan and Ernie. And it was pretty amazing just to see this. Now, the airport is back over just to the left, that opening there. You see kind of the blue area. That's the airport where Chase still flies out of now. Chase is his own pilot. So that is where they go out of, in and out of go to the races or wherever they're headed to. But just right behind the original property here. So if you're ever in Dawsonville, go by and check it out. It's amazing. It just kind of how dated it is compared to the shops you see. However, the Elliott's were super bad out of these shops. I was talking to my friend there in Dawsonville, and he was explaining to me that this shop here is where I think he said this was the motor shop, I think, where Ernie did all the work. But the chassis shop would have been on the left-hand side. According to the decals on the window, I guess this was like a visitor center for fans to stop by and visit the shop. As you can see here, they call it the Elliott Museum and Souvenir Center Incorporated. An old Bill Elliott fan club, I tell you what, he won a bunch of those trophies through the years. I forget how many years he was the sport's most popular driver. They had a real good campaign between his fans to make sure he was voted every year for that. Of course, you can't go to Dawsonville without going by the Dawsonville pool room. Here my brother is pointing to it. You have to forgive me from my brother's legs, but that's all right. It was 55 degrees up there. It was 90 when we left Louisiana, and it's 55. And it was a little chilly. That's why he's got the jacket on. But that's a famous Dawsonville pool room. It's a lot smaller than what you would think it is. It's very small, little location, little cafe, basically. I love this old coupe. It's got a flathead Ford sitting out on the road by the sign for the Dawsonville pool room. This thing is fantastic. Here's a little better close-up shot of it. But man, this is a car as I was brought up watching race here in North Louisiana and East Texas. Another little quick trip I made was Dave Gilliland racing there in Mooresville. I got a friend of mine that's restoring this old coupe and went by to check on it, and man, this thing is just so fine. It's amazing. It's got the original correct era Firestone. We used to call them Gelonis back in the day, but those are original Firestone slicks on the car. And he was just as surprised as anybody else that he could find them. It's got a big block Chevrolet in it. Well, I tell you, it was a great trip. Appreciate my brother going with me. My other brother wasn't able to make it. He was tied up with some work he's doing, but maybe we'll get him out there another time. But as always, enjoy going to Mooresville. We've got some good friends out there. I miss being out there, but it was a great trip. Well, I appreciate you guys joining us today, as always. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that like button and tell your friends about the channel. We've been growing a lot here the last week, and it's due to your efforts. Thank you very much. We want to continue to grow the channel. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll see you next time on Race Car Fabrication and Restoration. God bless you. You take care.